on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast, and there's a lot going on. How you guys doing? How you guys doing today?
I'm at a torn crossroads,
Okay.
and it's a tough one for me because I happen to have an Italian flag on my arm, and Team Italy is undefeated in the World Baseball Classic, and they took down Team USA. Now,
Mhm.
I was going to wait for Joe to see if Joe was on here because I got to imagine Joe is super excited. Not that there's one real Italian that plays on that team at all,
Yeah,
because they are all very similar to me. But I
there's two.
am. There he is. I see. I'm giving Joe some love today. Us Paisans beat the Americans yesterday, and they pulled it off. It was getting a little scary at the end. But wow, wow.
Not
And
too good.
then yes, Bam, just bam, bam, bam. Last night he was all over the place. It was a lot going on last night in the sports world.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was going to throw the baseball classic in there because the manager DeRosa rested some of his starters because he's like, oh, I thought we were already in. So basically,
Right.
there's a scenario where they can miss the next round because he's bad at math.
Yeah.
And so for the U.S. to move on, they have to have Mexico score at least 5 runs and win. Right. This is if Mexico wins. They have to score at least 5 runs. Mexico and U.S. advance. If Mexico scores 4 or less and wins, then it's Mexico and Italy. And then if Italy
wins, it's
then it's the
U.S. and
U.S. and
Italy.
Italy. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So there is a scenario where
Right.
the U.S.
The
is
most
out
specific scenario ever, though. You get the 4 runs and stop if you're Mexico. You're like, all right, let's see if we can knock these guys out.
I mean, that would be funny.
Yeah.
Especially after he called it. He's like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, we're in."
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he got to the stadium and somebody was like, "Yeah, we're not in." They were like, "Oh, that would have been nice to know before I did the interviews." So,
Yeah, it was bad prep.
yes.
And I don't know who your friend is over here with the 13 seconds, but
I have no idea.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure whose whose YouTube that is.
You're talking about creepy.
Right.
Anyways, exactly. And this is how we start off our Wednesday. This is right on point. But it will be interesting tonight. Of course, I mean, I am always Team Italy. Um, so
Yep. Not. I mean, there we go. I figured that was on Herb's. He gets the weird ones.
oh, that guy will be back.
Oh, I'm sure.
He'll be
Yeah,
under a different name, I'm sure.
exactly. He's got like 15 burners.
100%. See, and I didn't even go after you this morning, there, Herb, and right away you're getting all of the smoke.
Technically, you guys just saved it for before we got on air. So let's not pretend like try to make everybody else think, "Oh, these guys are so nice." No, these guys are a-holes. Don't listen to either one of them.
To be fair, like a lot of these listeners have been a long time on this journey of 500 plus episodes, so they already know that.
So I just to finish up, obviously Italy and Mexico goes tonight, and I just realized that they are finishing up that the WBC final is on St. Patrick's Day. You think they could have chosen a better day? I mean, not for nothing. I understand that it happens to be the unofficial day of everybody really drinking heavily.
Yeah,
You know,
that seems like
to
the right day.
celebrate an Italian who went to Italy or went to Ireland and removed all the snakes. So,
I think it's a great day.
um,
Watching baseball and drinking all day. I think
That's what
great.
I was gonna say. Like that sounds like the perfect day. Everybody's gonna be
Yeah.
out drinking anyway.
Yeah.
well, I was seriously considering going. I mean, it's being held in Miami. And it
Okay.
was like, you know what? I could probably take a flight down there, and I have a buddy's house that I could stay at. So it's literally I could backpack it directly to the ballpark and go see, the USA and Japan.
I
Now it
mean,
looks like I'm going to go see Italy and Japan.
Mm.
it's entirely possible. That being said, you should do it.
I think it would be a lot of fun, but it's St. Patrick's Day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So now it takes away a whole long time of imbibing. Because it's like you can't be a day drinker if you don't start in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody likes a quitter. Let's go.
Appreciate that, Sam. Thank you.
The one of those world class massages that 13 was talking about.
Oh, I doubt it. I think he was, although it might have been. Who knows?
But yeah, no, I mean, I think I think that'd be fun. Yeah, and on St. Patty's Day, like, why not?
See, it is him. It is him. I told you he'd be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, you figured, I figured it was going to be some other burner account. Herb's going
Yeah.
to spend half the show just banning this guy.
I don't think that guy's not on mine, right? He's on yours.
Oh, is he
I
on
think
mine
he
now?
is on yours. Yeah, I think he is on yours. Neither here nor there. You know what? Whatever he's got to do. You know what I mean? It's obviously he's the one who's got the issues.
Well, the thing that's funny is, and banned. So yeah, no, it's always funny though, because it's like the people that do that, it still just drives our content forward. So it's not like it matters that much, really.
Saint Giuseppe Day. Okay, I get that.
Mm.
All right.
I mean, but St. Patrick was Italian anyways. He was Pasquale.
So-
And of course, that upsets every Irish person in the world because the
course.
Irish and Italians are always the best of friends, in previous lives. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because especially in Philly, the Irish were the police and the Italians were the mafia. Both protected and served, just in different ways.
Mm.
Yes. So we did have a big move in the NFL. Crosby does not end up with Baltimore. And so this is going to be really interesting to see how all the other dominoes fall, because now some of the things that the Raiders were doing can't happen because that money's tied up in his contract. So, because they spent an insane amount of money projected
everybody
anyway,
else.
right? Because they can't do anything till today, this afternoon after the league, officially ends today. But it's speculated that he didn't pass his physical, right?
Right.
Even though there's been kind of countering intel on that. But no one else is going to give up
What was the counter intel?
that he didn't fail it. And that was being talked about by Schefter. So I'd be curious to see what actually came out. The Raiders just said that Baltimore backed out and they're not going to say anything else about it. So tough to see exactly what happened there. Obviously the speculation is that his knee isn't right, which would make total sense.
Yeah.
That being said, there's always a few of these because it's the tampering period. You can't actually sign people until this afternoon after the league ends. So there's always a few of these that unravel.
Yeah.
This just happens to be a huge one because of the compensation. And
the fact they signed other people and stuff. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Because now you have to undo those deals, which reshapes really everything that happened that first day of free agency, because now there's guys going to be available. So do these teams, then other teams back themselves out of deals they had because now there's some of those other people available again. So it'll be interesting to see how widespread this one move ends up becoming.
Right.
That's why I'm interested to hear what the opposition intel is on this. I feel that he declined to go to Baltimore, and ultimately, as
And
I
go
was
back to the
explaining,
Raiders.
yes. So no, I think I kind of put in a text message yesterday. I would not be surprised that you see the Eagles make a deal specifically that. I mean, because they were asking for the exact same compensation for Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
And that's so.
No,
My expectation is that it's going to be Jalen Carter and a third, because they do have 2 third-round compensatory picks along with their actual third for Max Crosby. Max Crosby just bought a house in southern Jersey.
Okay.
He has been talking incessantly about the Eagles, and I just feel that with the way things are going and the fact that they just spent the money on Jordan Davis, and if there's anybody who knows how to work the cap, it's Howie. He learned really from the best, which is Joe Banner. As bad as Joe Banner was as a people person, he was amazing at working the caps and working the money in the NFL. So I fully expect that you're going to hear about that a little bit later today, and it would make sense.
That would be an interesting trade. I mean, obviously at this point, the Raiders just need to not have him on his books if they want the rest of their stuff to work.
Right.
The problem is do they want Jalen Carter? Right? Because he has enough other off the field weird elements.
I don't know that that's ever bothered the Raiders with that. I think that they look at this. Well, I mean, in the past, but even still, I mean, they're in Vegas. You know what I mean? So I feel that there's, it's like all the things that you heard about their quarterback and how the reason why he wasn't so good as he was in Seattle was because he liked the nightlife. He liked to boogie. You know what I mean? So it was his thing. And I feel that, even though he's had stuff in the past, he hasn't gotten in trouble. And when you talk to him, I mean, he's he's very well spoken, and he's, his family. He's a family guy. Like I know his mother, well, and his mother doesn't put up with any crap when it comes to stuff like that. So it's a matter of, I think it becomes a matter of he is still on a rookie deal. He's got another year of eligibility after that. And it works right now for their money to be able to do that, because ultimately they still do have right now $100 million on the cap that they have to be able to spend. And more money than everybody else.
Well, they spent a lot of money, so that's why they need him gone, is they spent a lot of money yesterday. Obviously those deals still have to be signed, but they some of the contracts they were handing out were impressive.
So,
like they were spending it like they got it.
Yeah.
Well, they do, and they do.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
They just got to change by today.
Unless Crosby comes back, and then they don't.
Right.
I mean, they still have a lot, but not as much as they spent.
Yeah.
So,
And then this morning, Baltimore grabs Trey Hendrickson, so have already gone to their next plan.
which makes sense.
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that still works the way that they're talking about. Hey, I got to deal with this guy, and now my ex teammate.
Yep.
This just never ends.
Yeah, the one good defensive player that was on the Bengals.
Yes.
Uh,
So Joe Burrow's still thinking about quitting then?
I mean, that's really the thing, right? Like he probably made some phone calls and was like, "Hey guys, so I'm trying not to die, and maybe don't allow Crosby to come." And they're like, "Okay, that's fine." Hendricks and Kin was like, "Ah,
If you were the Raiders,
yep,
would you give up your first pick in the draft and another number one for Burrows?
no."
Okay, you would not.
I would not, and only because there is a every other year injury history since he got in the league,
Right.
and he
And I
hasn't.
don't think your team.
Well,
Yeah,
and he hasn't
sorry.
had a terrible O line every year. Now he has the last few years, but like the first couple of years, he had a decent O line, and he still got hurt. So there's just an injury element that you may not want to do. That being said, he's an amazing talent.
Right.
So if you don't think that you can turn Mendoza into something, then maybe. But they're not assembled as a win now team, right? Like they're rebuilding. So I don't know that you necessarily want to get tied into one of the more expensive guys in the league for a team that isn't ready to go yet.
Yeah. You're still building up that team. And you've invested, one of your best receivers, your tight end, and then you just invested in your running back. Like the rest of the team's timeline, you're still trying to build up the line. Yeah, you're just asking bro to get hurt in a division, honestly, that you might want to wait out a couple of years and see. Do the Chargers slide a little or move up? Does Kansas City kind of slide? You've got time.
Broncos got to start paying people. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that 2-year timeline for the Raiders is actually good.
Yeah, very good.
You're 2 years older for Burrow, probably at least one more injury, and so it. In fact, this year he should be okay, although that's arguable now. But based on his every other year thing, which means he'd be okay this year, and then next year when you're really starting to put something together, he gets hurt. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know that you want to go that route, especially for that kind of price tag, because you'd be giving up 2 number ones and all that money to pay him.
Yeah. Mendoza just fits their timeline. If you get him and let him sit a year behind whatever you have, and if you're terrible this next year, it's not the worst thing in the world. So
yeah.
Well, I just think that first off, it seems like everybody in LA, just out of both of those teams, everybody is about ready to retire. I mean, Khalil Mack just signed for one more year. He's going to retire next year. He's just too old, and he's on the Chargers. And it seems like everybody else on the Chargers and on the Rams are at the point now where they're about ready to retire. I mean, short of you got Stafford, who's going to stay in for as long as he possibly can because he really wants to catch Drew Brees in terms of the numbers. I think that I feel like that's what he's staying in here for. And when you got Puka Nakua, why won't you? I mean, Puka is what, 25 and already the best receiver in the league. So I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. But I mean, Stafford's really one really good hit away from retiring. So I mean, that's what I see there. And then I see the same thing with the Chargers. Their offensive line is old and things like that. So, and then when I look at the end of the season for Denver, once they lost that playoff game, once they lost their quarterback into that playoff game, and the way that the coach is, I mean, first off, he's not a good guy. And I mean, we heard this in New Orleans. That's why they banned him for a year. You know what I mean? That he was really the cause of a lot of the stuff that happened there. And now he's playing games with the Broncos. It seems that as good of a coach as he is really good at also making turmoil in his locker rooms. And the Chiefs have a quarterback issue right now. We'll find out when is Mahomes coming back. Mahomes could, if he doesn't come back in week 2, like that they're projecting at the moment, and he comes back in like week 8, is that going to be enough time to be able to win enough games to win the division?
Mhm.
So there's a lot to be said in that division, and I think that division's a lot more up for grabs than people think.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs just bounce back. I know that they have your running back now, and we got your cornerback, which I'm interested to hear a little bit from you about
Yeah, no,
that.
we'll definitely hit that. Brad already posed that question early,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, we'll definitely hit that. No, I mean, Casey getting Walker, that was a good move. They get to use their 2 picks in a meaningful way. They get to get no offensive lineman probably and replace their corner that they let go to the Rams. I don't think they're like gonna bounce back to what they were when Mahomes came in,
Right.
but they should look a little better than they did last year once Mahomes gets back. He's still not going to be the Mahomes you're used to seeing, right?
Right.
Like he's coming off an injury that even once he's back isn't going to be totally right. But yeah, this division absolutely is up for grabs, right? Chargers could do something. Broncos are, they're not going to be bad. And I still think the Raiders are going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And he had an Achilles, right? It was an Achilles, or
Yeah.
was it an ACL?
It was Achilles, right?
I thought it was Achilles.
I thought it was an
Or
Achilles
no,
too.
was it?
I thought it was an Achilles as well. And
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, because he was so good at playing with high ankle sprains, is that any different? And I don't know, because I've never had an Achilles tear,
Yeah.
rupture, or tear. And to be honest, I'm not even sure if I've ever had a high ankle sprain. So I don't know if it's a similar process. The healing time's obviously much different, because
So
one's a rupture and the other's
yeah. Well, it was an ACL.
it's an ACL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's
Yeah.
different then. I
Yeah.
mean, because ultimately he can put on knee braces that will help strengthen
Stabilize.
that and protect and stabilize. So that's going to be a little bit different in that regards. And like I said, it seems like the technology on ACL chairs has gotten much, much better.
Hmm.
You know,
For sure.
Yeah,
and
I mean, in all of them, right? I mean, an Achilles used to be an automatic, your career's done, and an ACL, you know, wasn't far off,
it was like
before.
an 18-month
Yeah,
ACL, was like 18-month, and it's now down to like, I mean,
nine,
like six
like 9
months,
or 10
nine
months.
months,
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
and
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 even with
I've
the
even
Achilles,
heard of
yeah.
I've even heard of situations where uh, lesser players. I heard one specific, like, where a college athlete, they did uh, big thick rubber bands, and taped rubber bands to the outside of his knees, and had the rubber bands do the work as if it was the ACL.
Oh wow.
So
yeah,
there are definitely ways uh, to be able to do that. Now, this guy, I think, if I remember correctly, this guy was a lacrosse player. So he was doing a lot of running, but not necessarily getting it hit.
yeah,
Whole different scenario when it comes to that. You know what I mean?
sure.
So I'm not trying to say that, you know, that they can do this with Mahomes. However, like I said, I'm sure he's already been down there in either Costa Rica or Colombia or somewhere where he was, getting those,
Stem
stem
cells, I'm
cells,
sure. Yeah.
and getting the repairs in order.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're trying to make the timeline that they want him to make, right? Like if they're saying that he has a potential to come back for week 3 or 4, and for some reason I was thinking it was an Achilles. So the fact that it's an ACL does lend itself pretty well for him coming back and being
Right.
effective early, right?
Right.
Um, Now it's still going to be like week 3 or, so he's probably not going to be right until like week 5 or 6, but still that's way better than the Achilles, where we've seen everybody when they've come back really not be right that first year. Right. So if he ends up being rusty for a couple of games coming back, that's really not that bad. That puts them still solidly in the conversation for doing something within this division.
And I'd be willing to bet that that was the deciding factor on Kelsey,
For sure.
on Travis coming back or not. I mean, obviously, I think, the one thing that I will say about the Kelseys is that they have a severe sense of loyalty. And that was why you saw Jason just retire as an Eagle, never played for anybody else. I think even though that there was a lot of speculation that Travis could go to the Giants, I think he wanted to start and end his career in one location.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that it's in the world of free agency, in the world that even now in college, that everybody is moving and you're never sticking in one spot. The outlier is the person who does stay and
Right.
who plays for one franchise their entire career.
well, especially
So,
today, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
teams are so quick to move off of somebody.
right. So I feel like that probably played a lot more of a part. And then, like, if Mahomes wasn't going to be back until the end of the season, or maybe not at all,
Mhm.
then you
I
may
can
have
see him
seen a
staying.
movement like that. But
For sure.
because I think that there is the hope that he could be back, like I said, I mean, I guess if they're projecting week 2 or week 3, that could still jump up as well, and that he could be there for the start of the season. So it'll be interesting to see. It's just going to be interesting to see once we get around to uh, the summer, when they're
Yeah.
doing the, if you feel like going, go to practice.
Right. Right. And also maybe whoever they decide to actually get in there to start as quarterback, if they feel a little bit more comfortable with that person, you can push that timeline back a little bit. But I don't even think they know, right, who's starting the year yet, because Minshew left after tearing his ACL as well. So
Well, and
Yeah, and he just signed with Arizona.
mhm.
I don't know what Arizona's doing. Like, they're not even trying to win games. Like, they are assembling the land of misfit toys down there.
Yes.
From coaching to
Like,
players,
So-
like they are obviously trying to lose.
and I think
Like,
that they're going to try for Mendoza.
no,
I wouldn't package a lot if you're Arizona. Yeah.
Nah, they need way too much stuff.
Yeah.
They-
And you're
yeah.
kind of like what we said, the Raiders. You're probably better off not making a jump. Like, you're not winning that division next year. That
Yeah.
division is stacked, The very least, wait out the Rams for a year. But no. Plus, you the same thing. You've kind of assembled younger talent in other spots, So, hey, have these terrible quarterbacks. If anything, I could see them drafting somebody who they definitely don't want to start next year with whatever position they want, Or maybe even kicking the tires down the road to maybe get a better quarterback next year when maybe you think the quarterback class is better. But I just
Yeah.
don't think
It
they
definitely is
get. Yeah. I don't think they get one quarterback and then jump all 3 of the other teams in that division next year,
Well, I mean, I agree. But realistically, where are the 49ers? I mean, I know that they just picked up Mike Evans, and that's a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that their tight end is not going to be playing for half of the season, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners are going to be good. So you
Yeah.
got to keep in mind, like, they won as many games as they did last year with half their roster hurt.
Yeah.
And then you end up with most of their guys coming back. They grab Evans, obviously. They still had quite a few picks anyway, but then they end up with 3 third-round compensatory or fourth-round comp picks, and so like they're gonna be a tough team. It's NFC West is going to be hard to get out of because the Rams look like after, the first day of this free agency period, possibly the best team in the league. Still waiting to see what Seattle does. Obviously we've lost some players along the way, although most of our offensive players are still there, outside of Walker. But so Arizona has no shot in this division this year.
Yeah.
Now the Rams, they're probably they have this year and maybe next year before you have Stafford hanging it up, right?
Right.
And so that changes the dynamic of that team a ton. When it comes to San Fran, they figured out how to win double-digit games in a year where they were dumping cap. Like they were doing stuff like that's why before last season, I thought they were going to be the third best team in the division, but not a double-digit winner. I thought they were going to be like a 500 type of team because they were losing guys to create cap space. And, somehow they found gems all over the place where not only were they getting rid of all that cap space, they had everybody get hurt and they're still a double-digit winner.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a rough outing to get out of the West.
Well, I think that attributes to Lynch. As much as I'm not a fan of that guy just because he was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer who beat the Eagles and won a Super Bowl and all that other fun stuff, he is an amazing GM, and he's just a great football mind.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's why
just no matter how brief stays with someone. So
it's why I enjoyed talking to him at the Senior Bowl a year ago. Because one of the questions I asked him was, how much do these games matter? How much does Senior Bowl matter? And he's like, it matters a lot because you get to see how guys adapt to new terminology and NFL coaches, and they're playing with guys they don't know. And, they only get 3 practices together. So you get to see how fast the uptake is and how well they do. And he spent the whole week there. And then he left from there to go to the Shrine Bowl and do the exact same thing. And so there's a reason he's finding all of these guys that are, later in the draft or kind of hidden in the mix of everybody, because he spends the entire week of these different games literally just following these position groups around looking for stuff. And so then when you see him like, oh, next man up, and that next man balls out, yeah, it's because he's not leaving it up to the scouts. Like he's going to scout. And so, yeah, as a Seahawk fan, super frustrating, but it's impressive.
Right. And the interesting part about that is like, as you're saying that, and as I'm listening to even those words that you said from him, the thing about those 2 games, the Senior Bowl and the Shriner Bowl, is that in the group of leaders, there's certain people that immediately will be able to lead them. So it's like you get to see, and typically they're not the best players on the field. Because ultimately the best players on the field are so self-consumed with trying to be sure that they are the best player on the field that they're not leading other people. And so when you get to witness that firsthand and you get to see, listen, that you're getting an all-star game. These guys are leaders on all of their teams, but ultimately will start to follow leadership when they're in a different setting, because some become timid, some become more concerned with how they're going to perform, and others are just natural leaders. And when you're choosing them in the 4th and 5th round, when you're choosing character more than talent, that's where you start to get the next man up mentality, being able to fill in those gaps better than normal.
Yeah. Well, and it shows up on the field for the Niners, because every time they have guys get hurt, they barely miss a step. It's outside of having CMC get hurt. When he gets hurt, obviously the wheels fall off. But every other position, they find a way to muscle through. So it's again, really impressive, also super frustrating as a fan of a team in the same division, where you're like, hey, you know what? They're dumping all this cap space. Everybody's hurt. You're like, how are you still here? But that being said, we do got to talk
But
about
that being said, with everything that happened, out your team who just won a Super Bowl.
You got to re-say that. You we were catching like every other word there.
I'm sorry, did you lose me?
Yeah, you're glitching out pretty hard. That's too bad. Too.
He said, having said all that, you guys still did win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the team was well constructed, right?
Right.
But so were the Rams, right? I mean, you're looking at three teams that were a win away from each other. So, like any one of those teams could have went to the Super Bowl. You had three of the NFC West teams in the last four, right? I mean, divisional round.
That's what I was impressed about, because we had that happen the year before with the NFC North, and they all flamed out. And so the fact that you guys had, postseason success, I was a little more impressed with that. Not just that you came through the regular season. It's always great, but it was bad to me for the NFC North to have that season like that and nobody do anything in the playoffs. It just kind of says, what was the regular season even worth to everybody? So
no, I mean the West having three of the final four teams was insane for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But hopefully you stop glitching, because we do have to talk about this corner that's coming to your team. That so Tariq Woolen, if those of you watching don't know, he is now headed to be an Eagle, and it's funny because I had been saying he wasn't going to end up on our team for like most of the season.
Right.
So, and a lot of it is because he has a lot of that boomer bust type of mentality. So he can get those turnovers, but then he's out of position a lot and gets burned over the top. He has some immaturity moments that you got to see in the NFC Championship game against the Rams, where he's taunting and then immediately gets burned on the next play for a touchdown. That wasn't an isolated incident. We watched that happen over the last few years since he got drafted. He has those moments, and you add that to a boomer bust mentality, which is great when the turnovers are coming, but when they're not, which this year there was less of them. Those times that you get burned start to hurt more because you're not getting those takeaways. And you watch that happen with Diggs in Dallas. Similar situation where he's a boomer bust kind of talent. And, when those turnovers aren't coming, the bust part of it is a real problem. So, and that's what you got to worry about now that he's headed to Philly, right? Is maybe he can have a resurgence where he's getting those turnovers again, because that's where he's good. Where he's not is he can get burned, likely going to get burned, has some of those mental errors where he'll cost you at times. He also has an inconsistency of tackling. And that is probably the thing that frustrated me the most about his time in Seattle, is the fact that he can be on somebody and miss the tackle. And I don't know, there's a fundamental element there that just makes me mad. Like, one of the things on defense is your job is to tackle a guy. You need to be good at that. Like, you got to be able to defend the passes and stuff like that. But you know what? A perfect ball beats perfect defense every time. So you better be able to get him on the ground. So that's the cautionary tale for your Eagles is, he's potentially not going to tackle very well and will get burned over the top.
Well, I feel that he's going to be the third cornerback, obviously, because I'm not sure if they're going to move Coop to safety, and that was why they felt comfortable losing Reed. Uh, if they do not and they go after a safety, then he's going to be the third cornerback because he's not going to be able to jump over both, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I feel like that those were the two best cornerbacks in the league. So why would you know, replace either one of them? And then it makes me wonder if he would go, is he a big enough guy that you could move him to safety? Although I can't see him doing that. If you're saying that he's got a problem tackling, that moving him to safety isn't the answer there.
No, and it would also, I don't know if you want a boom or bust guy as your blanket, right? Because that means if he misses his shot, it is a guaranteed touchdown because there's nobody behind him.
Right.
At least if you are a corner, there's a chance that you had somebody shading your side. So you might get bailed out. Obviously he still gets burned if you're in, deep thirds or quarters or anything like that. But like if you're doing something where you have your safeties over the top, at least if he misses, there's somebody else there. If he's the safety missing, it's a wrap. It's a walk-in touchdown. So I don't know that you'd necessarily want that. Is he big enough to do it? Sure. But at the same time, like you said, because he doesn't always tackle, that's its own problem. Because if you miss the tackle as the safety, again, it's a walk-in because there's nobody behind you.
Well, and the way Vic plays his defenses, they are always there's always safeties, like safety valves.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like to get burnt for big plays. And I think the Eagles were one of the best teams in the league on plays of 25 yards or more this past year. So I mean, it'll be interesting. Obviously, they probably would not have gotten him if Vic Fangio said, "Hey, I have no interest in this guy," and the fact that I think they wanted somebody with a little bit of swagger. Sorry, that was not CJG. Gardner Johnson.
Yeah.
I think that they liked what he brought to the table in terms of attitude. They did not like what his ad they like certain portions of his attitude, not all of it.
Yeah. No, and and it's not to totally bag on Woolen, right? Like there are things that you like about him. Like he's incredibly fast, right? Like his 40 time was it was like right at 4.3, right? Like a 4.30, or maybe like a 4.29 or something. Like he was fast. He's also, like 6'3" or 6'4". Like he's a big dude. So, and you guys are going about it the right way because you gave him a 1-year prove it kind of thing, but you gave him good money, right? Like he's going to make 15 mil. So you're paying him like he's going to be one of your first, one of your starters. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes together. And who knows, maybe a change of scenery is going to be good for him because that definitely can resurrect people's careers.
Well, I hope so. Obviously, I feel that the Eagles do very well in free agency and do very well with knowing what they're getting.
Yeah.
So it's, they are real big on not overpaying. Although this may seem like a little bit of an overpay, it's not a long-term overpay.
No,
and
it's a 1-year deal. So yeah.
and it's not guaranteed. It's all prove it. It can be up to 15 mil. It's not a 15 million deal. Like he's got the potential to make up to 15 million.
Yeah, I didn't see what the guarantee was.
Yeah, so It's actually not as much as you would think. And normally when it's like a $15 million deal, when it's a deal like that, when it's only 1 year, it's none of it's guaranteed because you're going to make it all if you make the team and you play.
Yeah, I would expect that he's somewhere in close to the 10 million guaranteed would be my guess. But
Yeah,
I haven't
let's see if I
seen
can find
any
out.
numbers as far as what his guarantee is, or if there is. But I would bet that somewhere it's probably like 8 to 10 would be his guarantee there. But um, but yeah, who knows? Broski Bear. I don't know that Murray is a lock for the Vikings. He I think he is. I think he has the same chances of playing baseball.
Mm.
And even though he hasn't
Yeah.
played baseball in a long time, his rights are by the A's, and so couldn't get worse. That being said, no, I think Murray is not a great fit schematically for O'Connell. He likes a guy that can be in the pocket delivering the ball, and that's just not something Kyler does. He tends to work a little more off schedule. He has that Russell Wilson action to him where he needs to be moving around to be highly effective.
Right.
That's not really how the Vikings offense works very well. So I'm assuming that the Vikings, if they're making a move for a veteran, it's going to be a Cousins, Carr, Rodgers type of guy. Somebody that can get in there, get the ball out quick, keep the ball out of harm's way, and let your talent be the talent.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It'd be hard for me to see him over there. Now watch, he'll sign like tomorrow, but
Oh,
yeah.
100%. Yeah. No question. The Browns, yeah, I mean, the Browns would just be funny because, I mean, why not? You know, that place is such a dumpster fire. In fact, they'll probably sign him and then draft a couple more quarterbacks, because why not? And, enter the season with 10 of them.
Yeah.
They entered last year with 5, so why, let's go.
Yeah. Remember our guy was on here and he suggested, like, why not? I like this strategy. Just take as many bites as possible. I was like, no, I do not like this strategy of 2 or 3 quarterbacks every year until you get it right. But it's the Browns, so maybe.
I mean, it just means they're not going to get it right. Like,
yeah.
Because nobody has any confidence. If you have a room full of guys that are trying to start and you just shift between them all, it's like, okay, I'm starting this week. Might be the only week.
Yes. Yeah, it might be the only quarter. No idea.
Yeah.
So.
Now, if you're a quarterback and you're headed to the Browns, you're just like,
it's over.
I mean, that being said, that is also true if you are a Jets fan. And I sent this in the group chat yesterday because sometimes making graphics is fun. And so if you're a Jets fan, like you've been going through it and you go from Geno back to Geno, and man, there's a lot of people in between, and none of them are good because you didn't get the best version of a Flacco or a Rodgers. I mean, the name sounds good, but you didn't get a good version of them, Vic.
Darnold, in case, dude. I mean, won Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, I mean, there some of these guys were good other places, but man, not for the Jets. And I would assume that he's going to come in and be just good enough to destroy their future picks and then flame out.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, as I'm looking at all of the names on that list,
Mhm.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably the best quarterback that the Jets have had on that list.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't fantastic for the Jets either.
Right. But he was probably the best. I mean, Michael Vick was at the very end of his career.
Yep.
Zach Wilson liked, his teammates' moms more than anything else. Aaron Rodgers got hurt 5 plays in and never really recovered. Justin Fields was so
Justin
good they
Fields.
traded him to
Was Justin
Chicago.
Fields? Yeah.
Or
He looked
they
like
got
he was
rid of him
going
again.
Yeah. He's
Um,
still there though, isn't he? They didn't cut Fields, right? Isn't he just sitting around over there still?
Yeah, I think he had a 2-year deal. So this would be the second year in it.
I mean, Flacco won games for them.
He did. He did.
Yeah,
He didn't
so-
look good doing it, but he did win some games. Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing is like there's some guys that were in here that did stuff other places, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
This list just tells you they just kind of like, look, they've gotten names, they've gotten young guys, they've gotten people you might not have even heard of. They have tried like every strategy there, and it just does not work for the Jets. So they're like, if we're going to be bad, let's be bad with somebody we already knew. Hey, Gino, you want to come back? And
it is oddly similar to the Browns. Like the Jets and the Browns cannot figure their quarterback situation out. And they've brought everyone in you can. They're like, hey, big name, small name, like you said, like obscure guy, doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's bad no
I'm
matter
looking
what.
at Chris Streveler, and I was like, oh, what? I'm thinking, I don't know.
See, this is what happens when you have
Sounds like my mailman or something. I don't know.
an owner who trusts his 14-year-old grandson with how players rank on Madden to be able to choose players to play on your team.
Yeah.
I feel like the 14-year-old would have done a better job, though, had he had full reins. Like, you can't pick and choose from the 14. Either go all in with the 14-year-old or not at all. But you can't, like, half do that strategy. I feel like a Madden player would put together a better team.
For real. And I was going to say, like, as bad as they've been, why not?
Yeah.
Might as well give it a go.
Right.
Kyler to Pittsburgh would actually make a little more sense than the Vikings.
Maybe. I mean, it's like he would probably be very comfortable with DK because they were in the same division. They saw each other a couple of times a year, things of that nature. Knows kind of more about how he plays than Aaron Rodgers did. But again, you got to be able to catch the ball.
Well, so why I think that could work with DK is DK isn't where he's supposed to be, right? Which is why he would frustrate Rodgers. But Kyler needs the movement anyway, right? So he kind of needs you to ad lib out there. And so that connection probably could work.
Kyler's not studying the playbook. DK's not running the route.
Yeah, like
two wrongs will make a right in this case, is what you're saying.
It's backyard football at that point, right? Like nobody knows what's going on. They're just standing there like, you do this. And you're like, okay. Like, that could work. That could work.
It's a hilarious endorsement.
Neither of you guys are going to do what you're supposed to do. So that'll work together. Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what happens in Miami now that Tua is gone. The Tua's gone. The receiver's gone. It's just now it's going to be like, hey, this is right where I wanted my team to do when Flores was here. I wanted them to lose games.
Yeah.
So.
And they're gunning. That team construction is not good. So they're gonna lose some games.
Who's worse, the Jets or Miami?
I'm still gonna say the Jets because they're the Jets.
Yeah, that's the thing is Miami's gonna accidentally win some games. The Jets, like that question is probably better posed: is who is worse, the Jets or Arizona?
Yeah,
because Arizona is just mailing it in.
Yeah.
Like they're getting rid of pieces and they're bringing in, Gardner Minshew. They got Hackett as an OC. Like, I don't see how this team's going to be successful. And then they got to run through the other three teams in the West twice. I mean,
I don't like that one at all.
there's 6 losses right off the top.
Yeah. I feel like for the Dolphins, if you get Willis and if like Waddle's a little healthy and you still have A-Chain, you might score. Like you'll stay ahead of the Jets. I feel like in that one at least. You're not going to, knock off Buffalo or New England, or we're not talking about a playoff spot, but you'll at least be entertaining. I don't know what the Jets are ever going to do. Now they've locked up a running back who probably doesn't even want to be there, and they're like, all right, I guess I'm stuck. You know what I mean? So, and now what your quarterback room is Fields and Geno. And I mean, Geno's great. Like Geno was probably a great pick unless you're, Glenn, and you're in your second year and you're like, I would like to win some. And teams like, we don't mind losing again for a year to get a higher draft pick. So that's not going to work out either.
Well, and that's why I said, I think Geno messes them up. I think he comes in and wins just enough to ruin their chances of getting one of the high prospects at quarterback next year.
Right.
See, I disagree. I think he goes there and he parties just well enough to, like, he's back in New York now. So, he's now more seasoned at partying.
He's practiced. He's not an amateur anymore, basically.
Exactly. So, and the last thing, I guess, before we get off the air, Trent Williams has been on the trade block, or is now on the trade block because they can't seem to come together on a deal with him with the 49ers. And not for anything, I know that guy is likely the oldest player in the league right now, but he is still one of the best players in the league. And if he is not on that 49ers team, that's a big hole because you have the best and then you have everybody else. I'm interested to see because obviously the 49ers will not trade him in division. So you could count out the Rams, the Seahawks. I guess they could trade him to Arizona because it wouldn't matter in that
just
regard.
Trying to get him to retire. You're like, so the only person we'll entertain is the Cardinals because you guys will do nothing.
It will not come back to haunt us.
Yep.
But would you consider, if you are Las Vegas and you're considering now putting together a quarterback in there and you want somebody to not only block, but maybe teach the rest of your offensive line how to block and protect somebody, is that, and you have the money, because that's really what it is. Like, you want to pay him for 2 years to be able to show everybody how to block and how to protect a rookie quarterback, because you're going to have him start right away. I would assume, like, if you're going to draft him number 1, you are putting him right out there.
Yeah.
So, be interesting. I'm interested to see how that goes, and I would not be surprised to see him land in Las Vegas.
That would be interesting.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that depends on how this whole Crosby thing plays out.
Right.
But
yeah, well, like I said, I think you hear later today. Later today, he becomes a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to take some sort of discount to get him off their squad at this point, because nobody's going to give him 2 number 1s anymore.
That's why I think that you're going to see Carter.
Right.
He's going to get Carter for it, and because they were asking the same type of situation and compensatory third.
If it happens, we're going on air right then. I'm calling you up. We're jumping on.
Yeah, that's right. That's
perfect.
Right. That being said, we do got to get out of here. We will chat a little bit about the NHL wildcard race tomorrow. Major League Baseball's 2 weeks out, and the WNBA deadline came and passed. Now they're talking about, hey, we should probably sit down next Tuesday. So all of that and more tomorrow. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.
Smooth jazz.
Yeah.